friends, welcome back to my garden. Ellie here. Today we are going to be talking about the amaranth plant. I have grown amaranth for the first time this year. I grew it from seeds and they have grown quite a bit. So let's talk about it. So this is my amaranth. It's called Love Lies Bleeding, and I love it for this kind of burgundy-ish color. It said that it can grow up to like 6 to 8 feet, I believe. And originally when I planted them, I didn't plant it in the ground like I have it here. I planted it in pots, and because in the packet that I got had like 1,000 seeds, I just grabbed a handful of seeds and started putting them in random pots. When the first, I think I planted them kind of mid-spring, maybe late spring, and I could see like some, the little baby, plants coming up. That had like several had germinated, but I think because I had them in pots and very close together, I didn't move them or anything at that point. Only 4 of them actually grew to a substantial size, and then I planted them. I decided to take them out of the pot because they were all in one pot, which was a kind of a small pot. And so I took them all out. I separated them because all their root systems were kind of stuck together, and I planted them separately here. So this is one. This one gets, I believe, quite a bit of shade. So this one hasn't grown very much since I planted it here. And I do have clay soil, so I also think that the soil has something to deal with it, but it's still blooming for me. This is another one I planted, and this one is huge. It has branched so many branches, and it's actually seeded itself. So I have gotten new amaranths popping up that I did not plant before, but this was one of the ones that I planted. I ended up trying to stake it here. So like here's one of those like decorative ornament type things for your garden that my kids had broken the glass. It was flower shaped. So they had broken it, so I kind of just used the stick here to kind of hold them up. And you can kind of see here, I kind of just tied them just because they were curling at the bottom and they weren't growing up. And so I kind of just tied it loosely a little bit so that it's not too tight. And they have branched like so many more branches. It is growing beautifully here. And they really like the sun. So this whole corner here gets a lot of sun. This corner here where this little one doesn't really grow, I think it gets shaded by everything else, that it doesn't get as much sun, I think. But this one is, so this is plant number 2. This one back here was plant number 3. And this one, at the time when I planted it, it was my biggest one. It was the tallest one. When I first planted them, they did struggle a little bit. They got kind of a little bit sad for a couple of days, but I just try to, make sure that it had plenty of water, and I fertilized it, and it's grown. But this one, again, it kind of wasn't going straight exactly, so I also put a stick here to kind of hold it together, and I tied it here on a different one of those kind of decorative yard flower things that, again, my kid had broken with the soccer ball specifically. And so there's another one. This one just came out of nowhere. So this one, surprisingly, is actually growing pretty straight. I was thinking about staking it. There's 2 of them here, actually. But it's going pretty straight, and I like the fact that it's far back against the fence because I'd like to see it get taller. This one was one that it was a volunteer one. I did not plant these two, and I did have them tied here to the stick, and unfortunately I didn't get to untie it fast enough, and this one with the weight of it broke. So we're gonna cut this one off today. I'm gonna try to stake this maybe with a bigger stick so that it kind of holds up a little bit better. But this one's growing, I mean, I'm 5'2" technically, and it's almost as tall as me, so it's, I'd say, close to 5 feet tall. So really nice, and you can see that it's starting to bloom there. So I'm excited to see this keep growing and blooming beautifully. So that's exciting. So I had, again, plant 1 there. I planted plant 2, which is doing good, and these were like super small. That one was my biggest one at the time, and it hasn't gotten, I mean, it's gotten bigger and it's branched out, but it's not getting taller. So that was 3, and then this one was the 4th one that I planted, and this one was also smaller than the one in the middle, and it's grown quite a lot. This one also, when I planted it, you can kind of see the roots here were curling, and it was just kind of growing on the ground. So I did try to also with a string here try to, you know, lift it up, and then I did put a stick here to help with the weight because there's a lot of them here. So I am trying to hold it up. I do plan to kind of redo this because it's grown a lot since I first tied it up. But this is number 4, and you can see like there's a lot of new amaranth. So if you plan to grow amaranth, just be aware that it will seed and it will grow more that you may not have wanted. So if you don't want more, like this is another volunteer one, and this one's kind of growing nicely. And so if you don't want them, you got to take them out before they get too big or they start blooming and then they go to seed. But yeah, so this is my corner here. So once the flowers have bloomed out and they start to kind of dry up, right? They start to lose their lust and color. You do want to prune it. And if you want, you can hang this up and save it for seeds. The seeds are these really tiny, kind of yellowish color of seeds. So you want to save them and you can plant them for next year. But these are like hundreds of seeds in one plant. So careful on how many seeds you save. So these are the amaranth seeds. I literally just barely, you know, squished kind of like the petals from the branch I just showed you. And this is what just came falling out. Very easy to get the seeds, but they're very tiny. So you do want to be careful and not lose your seeds. But there's like so many in each branch. So let's dive into the amaranth flowers. There are over 50 species of amaranth. There are some that are more of a globe shape, some that are more like a foxtail, and some that are spiky. These are, in my opinion, pretty easy to grow from seed, and especially because they self-seed themselves, they grow really easy. They are frost tender. They are ornamental and edible, so you can actually eat the amaranth. Technically, I don't know if it tastes very good. I have not tried it myself, but I think I rather just keep it as, you know, for looks. It is something that you want to have in full sun, at least 6 hours of sun, and then it could benefit for some like afternoon, evening shade. You do want to deadhead them and prune so that you can get more fuller blooms and more pronounced blooms. So you want to, as it starts to kind of die out, the flowers, you want to just kind of trim them and cut them off. You can hang them and use them for seeds, like I've mentioned. These are easy also to propagate, so you can take clippings of it and propagate them. It would be faster to propagate if you're trying to get like the same blooms quicker than if you were to grow them from seed. But like I mentioned, they are pretty easy to grow from seed. That takes about 7 to 14 days to germinate. They do want to be in about at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit soil temperature. And they really will grow very nicely if they're in the 68 degrees or above. You want to thin these out if you're going to grow them from seed, and you want to try to plant them or keep them about 10 to 18 inches apart. If you want to grow them in containers, you want to have a large container because these do get pretty big. You want to have at least like a 10-gallon type of size container or bigger. And as far as pests goes, aphids love these. And there's another pest called the weevils, which I have never heard of before, but that's what I've searched. Aphids I know, and you want to get rid of them, you use soapy water, so like some Dawn soap and water, and spray them, and that will help. Or like I like to do is track the insects. So you want to have like the ladybugs in your garden. Those eat the aphids. They do wonders with my roses, so I like to have ladybugs around. And things to watch out for, you want it to have well draining soil. If it doesn't have well draining soil and the water accumulates, you can cause it to have root rot from overwatering or just having the water just stay stagnant in there. So if you plant it in a pot, you want to make sure it has well draining soil and it has enough holes on the bottom for it to drain. If you're planting it in the ground, just be mindful not to overwater it. So my takeaway from growing amaranth this year, I absolutely loved it. I love the one that I picked out, the Love Lies Bleeding, because it grows drooping. I think next year I would like to try the foxtail or the spike ones more and see how they do. And I do want to put them more against the fence because they do grow really tall, and I don't want them blocking my other flowers that are a little bit shorter. So if you're thinking about growing amaranth, I 100% recommend it. I think it's a great plant. Just know where you want to plant it. This is another type of amaranth. This one I got from like Home Depot. Last year I planted it, and it must have seeded because it came back up on its own. So this is more like a spike type. And like I mentioned earlier, they do come in different shapes, colors, and they're a great plant to try out. So this is my beautiful Love Lies Bleeding amaranth that I am going to cut and put in a vase. So I'm liking this one. It's nice and full, beautiful deep color. And I'm kind of following up to see where the stem kind of splits, and then back here is where I'm gonna do the cut. So this is my cut here. I did remove a few of the flower buds and a couple of stems off of here. I might remove just a couple more just to make sure that it has plenty of water. It goes all the way down. But I just love the way it hangs. It's just so pretty. So I'm gonna cut a few more pieces, and I'm gonna see, I might come some sunflowers that I have and kind of make a little vase. I have this beautiful sunflower that I'm gonna go ahead Just want to follow the stem and kind of where it splits. This is where I want to cut. I can cut it longer if I really want it to be a long stem, but it has another bud here, so I don't want to get rid of that one. So I'm just going to cut it right about here. So now that we talked about the amaranth, I wanted to make a floral arrangement using my Love Life's Bleeding. I used just regular tape just because it was first thing I found as far as tape. This is like gift wrapping tape, and I just put it in a plaid type of pattern. And this is to help so that the stems, when you're putting them in, they're a little bit more stable and will stand up a little bit more straighter. They're not flopping around as much when you don't have a lot of flowers that to put in that really hold it together. So this is a nice little trick to use. And so today we're putting dahlias that I got from the garden, my Love Lies Bleeding, and a sunflower that I cut. And I'm just this is the time where you just kind of want to be creative and see, what looks good to your eye, and kind of fiddle around with it a little bit. What I love about flower arranging is just the freestyle of it. I like that you kind of just go as you want and kind of figure out, what looks good to you. It's a great way to kind of relax. This does help me relax when I'm feeling stressed out. So I really enjoy putting flower arrangements together, and it just looks beautiful to have in your house. It really is a mood uplifter. I think it is something that everyone should do, especially if you're growing flowers in your garden. This is a way to kind of bring in some of that beauty from outside indoors and kind of keep you, happy and feeling good and in a good mood. I will say there is a specific type of floral arrangement tape that you can tape. It's thinner, and you can do that plaid pattern a lot nicer and a lot better so that these can hold up a little bit. But this is kind of, last minute type of arrangement. So I did have a hard time with that sunflower kind of staying put because it's so top heavy. It was drooping quite a bit, but this is my final product and I think it looks beautiful. I love the fact that it's from the garden. So thank you for joining me today, friends. I hope to see you next time, and happy gardening.